Hi everyone, my name is Grant Kramer and I'm a professor emeritus at the University of Nevada, Reno. Welcome back to my video series on my YouTube channel called My Backyard Vineyard. Today is July 5th and we are in my backyard vineyard where we're going to take a look at something that almost all growers are concerned about, the reddening of their red grape leaves. Is this just magnesium deficiency, as I thought last year? Or is this something more serious, like a virus disease such as red blotch disease? In this video, I'll walk you through the symptoms I have in the vineyard and the steps I've taken to try to get answers to my questions. And I'll show you pictures of what other people are seeing in their vineyards. And if you have these symptoms, then what you can do about it. Let's dig in. As you recall from my previous video from Season 4, Episode 4, I did a petiole analysis at bloom to see the nutritional requirements of my vines. These results indicated that my magnesium concentrations were low and my nitrogen and iron concentrations in the vines were borderline low. Note, these are average concentrations of the entire vineyard, and the soil around each individual vine may vary due to variations in the soil or competition from other vines and the grass. Last year, these striking symptoms showed up in my Pinot Noir vineyard in June. This is vine R2-6 from the right vineyard, row 2, vine 6. This vine showed symptoms the earliest and were the most dramatic, but other vines showed similar symptoms. As you recall, I suspected this was caused by magnesium deficiency. Later, I shared the center photo with Patty Skinkis, a cooperative extension agent in Oregon who is familiar with magnesium deficiency in Pinot Noir. And she confirmed that this looked like magnesium deficiency in Pinot Noir. Note that the reddening is interveinal, which is because the green chlorophyll color is disappearing, revealing the underlying red anthocyanin colors in the leaf. In the left picture, you can see this development clearly with different leaves at different stages. The bottom left leaf only has a few red patches showing, starting near the edges. In the middle photo, after 13 days, the red patches have expanded in this leaf and coalesced into triangular shapes, pointing towards the main vein. It is at this point that I realized I may have magnesium deficiency and treated this vine with magnesium sulfate for the first time. 10 days later, the red patches have expanded and the green areas appear darker green except in the one leaf where the green has turned to yellow. This leaf is about to senesce and fall off the vine. The darker green color indicated that the vines may indeed be magnesium deficient and had responded to the magnesium treatment. The green parts darkened, but the red patches did not re-green up. So let's review my magnesium treatments in 2024 before we move on to this year, 2025. This is also a key to the images I'm going to show you in the next slides. On June 20th, R26 had severe symptoms and L12 had slight symptoms. So I irrigated both vines with magnesium sulfate at 2 tablespoons per gallon. On June 22nd, after consulting with Patty Skinkis, I sprayed my vines with iron EDDHA in the right vineyard that had been treated with magnesium sulfate via irrigation to ensure that these symptoms weren't due to iron deficiency. Then I mixed in 2 tablespoons of magnesium sulfate in a gallon of iron spray and sprayed the remaining vines except row 2, vines 1 through 5. This is so I could see what sort of effect my sprays were having by having somewhat of a control in row 2. I sprayed all the vines in the left vineyard with the iron magnesium spray. Note that iron can cause interveinal chlorosis as well, and there was previous evidence that my vines were also experiencing iron deficiency. By the next day, June 23rd, the vines looked noticeably greener and had improved due to the spray application. July 4th, I sprayed all the vines with the iron magnesium spray at the concentrations of 1 teaspoon of iron concentrate and 2 tablespoons of magnesium sulfate per gallon. The 2 vines that I previously irrigated with magnesium sulfate looked greener, so I irrigated all vines in the left vineyard with 1 gallon of 2 tablespoons per gallon of magnesium sulfate, as well as R13 with slight yellowing and R23 more yellowing and stunting, again to see individual effects on specific vines and not all the vines. It is possible that the irrigation treatment was more effective because they are getting more magnesium, and there may be a problem with foliar absorption of magnesium through the leaf because it's less efficient than the roots. On July 13th, I sprayed the iron magnesium spray to the whole vineyard again. Some of the vines are still yellowish, so the problem is not completely resolved. In these photos, we can view the entire vine canopy on June 30th of the R26 vine, and 1 month later on July 28th. You can see the older leaves remained red, but the younger leaves are green after the magnesium treatments. So the disease has not progressed further into the younger leaves. By July 28th, the older leaves remain red, but in addition begin to curl. These older leaves that are showing symptoms didn't recover, but the younger leaves stayed healthy and became darker green. So perhaps this was a magnesium deficiency, but was so severe in the older leaves that they were unable to recover. So knowing this problem from 2024, I anticipated this may be an issue this year. I also had a boron deficiency problem last year and wanted to be preventative before bloom by treating the vines 2 times with both boron and magnesium prior to bloom to ensure that I'd get good fruit set. Full bloom occurred on May 11th and was the day I sampled my petioles for nutrient analysis. 2 days later, I applied the iron magnesium spray as I had used last year. I was not satisfied with the results and decided to increase my magnesium concentration to 8 times that amount I was using. At this point, I thought a little deeper about the problem. Other micronutrients might be limiting. Although they were in the sufficiency range, they were barely sufficient. I did not see any harm in boosting their concentrations to a higher medium sufficiency level. First, I tested individual micronutrients individually and then made a complex mix of all the micronutrients and included urea as I read a scientific paper from China indicating that it may enhance the quality of red berries. I called this the complete mix. After looking at the results, there were noticeable improvements without any toxicity symptoms. However, with time, the leaves would become more pale again, indicating that repeat sprays were necessary. On June 5th, I sprayed the entire vineyard with the complete mix. Subsequently, I read another scientific paper that said foliar absorption of urea was negligible and decided to develop what I call my micro-mix foliar spray. You can see the exact concentrations listed here. I utilized 24 grams of iron EDDHA, making it a concentration of 0.5%. I used 160 grams of magnesium sulfate, 9 grams of manganese sulfate, and 8 grams of zinc sulfate per gallon. This iron concentration is significantly higher than what I was using before. On June 16th, I sprayed the entire vineyard again with this micro mix. There was a noticeable greening in all the vines, and the treatment was more effective than previous sprays. But again, some vines were persistently yellowish, and other vines were developing
the red blotches that I had seen last season, most notably in R26, the vine I highlighted earlier. Since I was concerned about inefficient foliar absorption of magnesium, I decided to conduct one more test where I applied dry agricultural grade magnesium sulfate pellets to the vines in row 1, 3, and 5. That is, to the ground below the vines, not to the vines directly. I applied it between the vines in the row as well as to the basins. Then I immediately watered in the fertilizer to dissolve it and move it down into the soil. As a comparison, you can see that the vines in my left vineyard are noticeably greener in 2025 compared to 2024. So these micronutrient sprays are clearly working very effectively and improving the health of my vines. The right vineyard is less obvious. Some paler yellow-green of the vines persists in the central front part of the vineyard where the soil is very compacted. However, even here the vines are darker green. It's especially noticeable in the vines near the fence. So let's take a closer look at these red patchy symptoms that are beginning to reappear like last year. R26 is the earliest vine to show symptoms, and this reddening progresses further despite all of the magnesium and micromix sprays. Note, the leaves are darker green this year after all of the micronutrient sprays. Here you can see the development of 2 to 3 leaves from June 17th, June 26th, and July 4th. The greening of these leaves by the micronutrient sprays is more clearly seen here when we compare the R26 vine in 2024 to its image from 2025. Clearly, the vines are much darker and the reddening is less developed at this time of year. Clearly, the vines were magnesium deficient in 2024 and may be deficient in other micronutrients as well. Here are some images of other vines. On June 17th, only 9 vines out of 76 were showing these symptoms. By July 5th, there are 31 vines showing these symptoms. So is this magnesium deficiency? Or is this a more serious virus disease like Grapevine Red Blotch Disease or Grapevine Leafroll Disease? Let's take a closer look at these diseases and then make a comparison of symptoms that I was able to discover. Grapevine Red Blotch Disease, also known as GRBD, was first identified by UC Davis researchers in the mid-2000s. It was confirmed to be caused by a virus which they called Grapevine Red Blotch virus in 2018. It's distinctly different from the virus that causes Grapevine Leafroll associated virus. It is now known that the three-cornered alfalfa hopper, Spicistillus festinus, can transmit this virus to grapevines. But other insects may also be involved and are currently being investigated. The virus has largely been transmitted through propagation from infected vines, but there's evidence that it is spreading within the vineyard as well, indicating that insect vectors may also be playing a role. The disease has been around for many years, but may have been mistaken for Grapevine Leafroll Disease, which has very similar symptoms. Grapevine Red Blotch Disease has now been identified in countries all over the world. In the bottom right here is an image of the three-cornered alfalfa hopper, and up above is a vine with red blotch disease. I'm going to show you some more pictures in the next slides, but let's summarize the symptoms here before visualizing them. The Grapevine Red Blotch virus symptoms are for red grape varieties here. They will be different in green grape varieties. The interveinal red blotches develop in older leaves first. The veins generally remain green, but in some severe cases turn red. Red blotches expand and coalesce together. The leaf curling may occur as disease progresses, but not to the extent that Grapevine Leafroll Disease does. The berry brix is often lower, leading to late ripening of the grapes with reduced yield and quality. The symptoms first appear in mid to late summer. This is what red blotch disease looks like in Pinot Noir. It is important to note that symptoms vary with grape cultivar and disease severity. In the upper middle image, you can see the variation of Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, with that of Pinot Noir in the bottom right part of that image. In the upper right image, you can see the reddening color develop throughout the vine at the end of the season. The green and yellow colors are the natural colors of non-diseased vines. So these red colors at the end of the season may look pretty, but they're often an indicator of virus diseases. In the bottom images, the red patterns look remarkably similar to the red patterns seen in my vines. Okay, so what does grapevine leafroll disease look like in Pinot Noir? This viral disease has been known for a lot longer than red blotch disease, and both diseases have very similar symptoms. We know that leaf roll is caused by a virus, which is different from the red blotch virus, and transmitted by insect vectors in the vineyard, most notably by mealybugs and soft-scale insects. The spread of the leaf roll disease in an Oregon vineyard was much slower than the spread of the red blotch disease, which is a clue that the spread within the vineyard was by different insect vectors. One leaf symptom noticeably different between the diseases is the extensive rolling or curling of the leaves with leaf roll disease, as you can see here. So now that we have a handle on these viral diseases and their leaf symptoms, let's refresh our knowledge about magnesium deficiency symptoms, which I have discussed before in previous videos. Magnesium deficiency develops first in the older mature leaves with interveinal chlorosis. The symptoms differ between cultivars, with some interveinal chlorosis showing up as yellow, most notably in greenberry cultivars, and some redberry cultivars are having reddening or red color between the veins. But not all. For example, I've seen a picture of Zinfandel, which had yellow interveinal chlorosis. Note that all of these images are for rather severe and striking symptoms. The close-up in the bottom right corner looks remarkably similar to the symptoms in my vines, as do the two images of Pinot Noir in the center, where the reddening progress from the outer edge towards the central vein is in a triangular pattern. So just to make things more complicated, there are other causes of reddening in grapevine leaves. Here you can see in these photos from left to right symptoms of potassium, magnesium, and phosphorus deficiency. Red leaves may have biotic or viral origins or abiotic causes such as nutrient deficiencies. Again, here are some more images of red blotch disease on the left, with nitrogen and phosphorus deficiencies in Pinot Noir leaves on the right. There are so many possibilities. So let's compare the symptoms of these three diseases to my vines. We have magnesium deficiency, red blotch, leaf roll, and then my vines. If we look at the leaf age that's affected from left to right, we can see that older lower leaves first in magnesium deficiency, younger to mid-age leaves for red blotch, older leaves first in leaf roll, and in my vines, older to mid-age leaves. For the red color leaf pattern, it's interveinal for magnesium deficiency. For red blotch, it's interveinal but blotchy and irregular. For leaf roll, it's red to purple color and interveinal. And for my vines, it was clearly interveinal and red. For magnesium deficiency, the veins are usually green, but under severe conditions may turn to yellow. Red blotch, the veins may turn red when severe, but remain green under normal circumstances. In leaf roll, they always remain green. And my vines have always remained green, but in some cases, they have turned to yellow when the leaf is about to senesce. Look at the distribution along the vine. The distribution for magnesium deficiency is more uniform, starting on the bottom leaves and progressing towards the top leaves or younger leaves. For red blotch, it's scattered and less predictable. For leaf roll, it progresses upward from the base. And for my vines, it starts primarily in the mid-range leaves, and I've yet to really see it progress towards the younger leaves. For the timing of these diseases, magnesium deficiency often shows after veraison or during rapid growth. Red blotch usually appears just before veraison, and leaf roll usually appears after veraison. In my cases, my vines are more like the red blotch, showing up just before veraison. What about associated symptoms? In magnesium deficiency, you can have leaf yellowing, but you also can get slight curling of the leaves. With red blotch, you get delayed ripening, lower sugar levels, and lower berry color. For leaf roll, you get downward rolling or cupping of the leaf margins. In my vines, I've really not seen any severe curling or rolling except at the very end when conditions are very severe. What about reversibility? So in the case of magnesium deficiency, we can improve or reverse this deficiency with nutrient correction. For red blotch and leaf roll, there is no cure. The vines have to be removed or rogued, as they say. In my case, my leaves responded to magnesium and micronutrients, although red symptoms are still persisting, and pale yellow colors are showing up in some vines. For diagnosis confirmation, we can use tissue analysis of magnesium for magnesium deficiency. We can confirm red blotch and leaf roll by using PCR tests. The more I look at the images, the more I am citing or leaning towards magnesium deficiency. The pattern development is more triangular in the magnesium deficiency, and the red blotch patterns are more blotchy and irregular in their development on the leaves. Or am I just fooling myself? Why aren't the symptoms in the mature leaves moving along the vine and developing in the younger leaves? Why aren't my nutrient applications fully correcting the problem? I'm seeing some response, but not a complete response. So perhaps there are multiple things going on. Perhaps I have both red blotch disease and magnesium deficiency. So what to do? Testing is the key. Mineral nutrient analyses along with mineral nutrient supplementation can help to confirm that the vines are magnesium or micronutrient deficient. But could they also have a virus as well? Further virus testing is thus needed. I have to keep analyzing with more data and keep collecting more information to analyze again. If the vines are indeed infected with a virus, it will be important to remove them from the vineyard to prevent the further spread of the disease and preserve the good quality of the non-infected grapes. Stay tuned because I plan to get my vines tested for their magnesium concentrations to confirm whether they are magnesium deficient. And I also plan to do some virus testing, both for the red blotch disease and for leaf roll virus. So in a future video, I will share the results. So if you've been experiencing these symptoms for the first time, or you've simply been trying to narrow down what the cause is of the reddening of your leaves, then I hope this video has made it clearer for you as to what to look for and what steps next to take. If you have any experience with magnesium deficiency or red blotch, then I would love to hear from you in the comments as to what you've found. Let's work on this together. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell so you can be in touch with future videos on winemaking practices, viticulture, plant health problems, and plant physiology. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.